Hello, it's Ken, KNS Brakes. We're lucky enough to have a Z06 in the shop today. It's Sunday, so I mean fun with cars, right? And as you know, I only care about what's in there. So we're gonna get this car off the ground, get the wheels off, and have a look and see what GM has given us to work with here. Back to like the C8 stuff, a couple of things to remember. First off, when we get the car on the left, remember there's tie down points and jack points. They're not the same. You know, don't drop a car. Second is, if you're going to remove the rotors, you need to put the car in park, but get the parking brake off, and the car doesn't like to do that, so figure that out. I don't know, you do that. And then the next thing is, the first thing you do before you touch anything in the brakes is disconnect the battery. So that's what we're going to do right now, get the car up in the air, get the battery disconnected, and we'll get the wheels off and have a look and see what we're working with here. Okay, car's up in the air, so it's what we expected. This is iron brakes on a C8 Z06. That's that same 6-piston Brembo caliper and pad design that the C7s had and lots of other cars, for example. We'll get the exact pad shape because they kind of have a moving annulus in some of these cars. So we'll find out on that in a minute, but as far as how the pad goes in the caliper, it's the same. You can come around here if you want to look. Same thing, cross spring, 2 pins, that's center bolt. And the only other thing of note, the brake line has a little bit of a weird port connection, so that's going to take a minute to figure out how we make a stainless steel line for it. And then, you know, this rotor eye diameter, we don't know exactly, but it looks about 375, so that's pretty normal. Probably will take a new. In this case, it's not a slotted rotor this time, and that's a pillar vane venting in the brake rotor instead of a curve vane. So we'll probably have replacements for this in, well, it depends on tooling, but maybe a year's time or so. We'll see. I can get a closer look at it, but we'll have rotors for it soon enough, and we probably have pads now. On the rear, it's a rear engine car, or mid-engine, excuse me. So a lot more weight. As you can see, there's much bigger brakes than the C7 or older chassis. Now this is a whole new thing. I don't know what's going on here. My expectation is it's still a 2-piece rotor, and then that looks like it's also a pillar vane design. So, you know, no left and right, one side only. 2-piece, typical, pretty good size. And I can't tell what the pad shape yet, but they've got these pegs on here for some reason again, with nothing attached to it. Don't know what that's all about, but pretty basic looking, you know, a couple of pins going across and pull the pads out. And the only thing is, we'll find out if the pads are glued to the pistons, because that makes the first pad install fun if you don't remove the caliper, which we don't want to today unless we have to. All right, so we'll get the pads out and have a look. All right, so we got the front pad out of the car. Let's have a look. First thing, zoom on in here. This is all new. My guess is this is a GM copper-free compound that Brembo is getting made in Mexico, apparently. Generally, we would have seen a Rotor HP1000. This is not it. I don't know what any of that means, but it's a GG friction code, but that's fairly aggressive. That's a sort of a loose, you know, FF is more common in a car, but nonetheless, the pad shape is, at least at the moment, what we thought it was. This is a Hawk DTC 70 race pad. What are the things we care about? Well, as I mentioned, it's Brembo's sort of 6-piston caliper design. So, yeah, no surprise there. They put this pad, it's like Frank's hot sauce. They put that shit on everything. So there's the brake pad. They got a sensor notch for some reason, who the hell knows why, because there's no wear sensor. A little bit of a dent there, but nothing really contacts there. Looks like the hold down bolt channel and stuff, but again, you know, this is, what else are we going to look at? So that overall shape is pretty clearly the same. We don't know how thick it was new because you got a lot of wear on it, but this pad is that many inches thick, 0.605. I want to say that's 16 millimeters. .5 apparently is enough. This one currently is down around 13.5 on that end. 14 on that end, so it got a little taper, no surprise. We ended up being able to fit sometimes a 17 millimeter pad in the front of the Camaro version of this. We could probably do the same on the Corvettes, but that's TBD. But anyway, as you can tell, we're not going to put this in the car, but that's going to work. So the front pads, you know, what we expected. So that's good news, because now we won't have to wait for anything new to get made. The rear is going to be a different story, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but that's where we are with this. All right, so now at the back of the car, which is going to be the hard part. Big two-piece rotor. Who knows? I mean, it's the same design as the Z51, or same basic setup with the, you know, external parking brake caliper. This is a big funky caliper I don't think I've seen before. And then that's the two-piece rotor. It's, you know, pillar vane just like the front. We'll work on rings for that, but you shouldn't need rotors that soon. The key will be the brake pad, so pretty simple. Again, just 2 pins and a cross spring. We'll pop those out and get the pads out. Have a look at that and probably take a few measurements of it and see what it is and find out what they gave us back there. All right, so we got the rear pads out. Again, they're Brembo pads, no longer Rotor that I can tell, made in Mexico. They've got weird rabbit ears, don't know why, because there was nothing attached there. Really? And it's a new pad shape that I can tell. It's a Brembo 4-piston caliper. I can't match it up with anything I've really seen before just yet. So no surprise that might be new, because it's a, you know, pretty different application. We'll take measurements at some point, buy a set and send them off to Hawk and Carvatech and Girodisc and see what we can come up with. So for now, you're stuck with OEM until we get some of these made, which doesn't take long. As long as we can get some from GM, because you just laser cut the back plate, cut the puck, attach it, and off you go with race pads. We won't have any street pads for a while. That's, you know, that's a much longer process. We may find this somewhere, but it certainly doesn't look familiar. All right, so we got done looking at the pads. Good news and bad news. Easy front pad, totally random rear pad, no idea, but we'll leave it to someone to figure that out. Now we're on to the brake rotors for a sec. So this is for Mike. All right, yeah, you saw my stomach. Have a nice day. There you go, Mike. Anyway, looks like it. We did some, can't measure, I didn't take it off, I don't want to, but I think it's a 372 by 34 disc. Like I said, it's got a pillar vane design. If you know what that means, you know you're looking at it right there. You got a pretty big air gap. We'll see. Go to the rear, and it's going to be a little hard to see in there, but the disc is bigger. I think we came up with roughly 390 by 34. I'm not sure if you can get inside there and look down, you'll see it is not exactly a curved vane, but it's a directional straight vane. So that means there are lefts and rights. So it feels like they put more attention in the rear brakes than the front, I guess. So either way, we'll get Girodisc going pretty soon. And you guys need to get to the track, because as soon as you start eating brakes, as soon as I can sell them.
All right.